Hey everyone, Angelo here, Hollywood filmmaker, greatest screenwriter in the history of the world, recovering homeless guy, riding my bike with my BDSM shirt. Bikes do so much for the environment. At Ciclavia, Hollywood, but I'm on Santa Monica Boulevard. What's up, another BDSM shirt. Do so much for the environment. There we go, that's awesome. This is so joyful. I've literally been crying so much, and I don't care that people would make fun of me. Good. That means it's making you uncomfortable that I'm showing that emotion. And with that discomfort, you may have to examine, why did that make me feel uncomfortable? Because it seems like somebody on a bike thinks they're superior to drivers. It has nothing to do with all that. It's the system we built, we've designed, where we have these huge open street, not open, but huge streets that are dedicated to cars. When we're in cars, we're in competition for each other. They are these horrible force multipliers, just like a gun. And the result is we have 42,000 car deaths a year. At least that was 2022, and it was hovering around there for several years. And it's not just an accident. These deaths happen often in the same streets that are poorly designed, that prioritize speed, that don't prioritize this. Joyful communities, people on foot, on their bikes, on scooters, kids being able to be safely on there. Can you imagine this? You can never safely have kids bike on the street like this. Why is that? Why do we take our streets away from the people who live here, who could enjoy it? And why are people so hungry for events like this, where they'll come out from all around Southern California for events like this? This is something that should be not only a joyous thing, it's fun, but a reminder of what's possible. Even if you like driving, even if you never want to ride a bike or take the metro or bus or walk, you should be 100% an advocate for this and for more metro service, bus service, bike lanes, bike paths, pedestrian-friendly streets. Why? Because that means easier streets for you to drive in. Less congestion, more people getting out of their cars and onto other modes of transportation. People who can barely afford to drive. Think about how defensive, reactively drivers get. And talk about this horrible system in which we've given over so much of our country to cars and the car industry. But what are they defending? It's essentially they feel personally attacked and think it's about whether cyclists are good people to share the road with or not. What does it matter if you never have to deal with cyclists on the road because they have separate bike paths, because they have bike lanes, because they can take the bus or metro reliably all throughout the day, all around their city? What would it matter? And it's not only that, what sense of identity have you built up and not even thought about when you're so closely identifying yourself with a car, which is something deliberate that car companies, auto executives, car manufacturers spend so many millions of dollars on to advertise, to push for laws to protect their industry. And you're the sucker who's giving over your money, coughing up your money for that. And I'm not saying that inherently that should be something you shouldn't like cars. If you like your car, that's good. You should absolutely write to your leaders, email them, join groups. Like here in Los Angeles, we have Streets for All and Streets Are for Everyone. And in California, the California Bike Coalition, that advocate for more metro, for safer streets. Because think about how much you don't like other drivers. And also think about how you're the other driver for everybody else. Everybody doesn't like congestion. Everybody doesn't like delays, traffic crashes, lane closures. Everybody doesn't like people texting on their phones. Everybody doesn't like people driving drunk. And yet, what have we done? We've prioritized streets, our cities, so that people have to drive to get around. They don't want to drive, so they drive and text. You have to drive from the bar, so they drive drunk. people have so many reversible health conditions, or just have early deaths and permanent health conditions like chronic asthma because of emissions. And why? Because we want to give over money to the car industry, or we bought into this illusion that cars are an identity for us. I'm not saying bikes should be any more an identity than cars should, especially if it means believing others are inferior to you. And absolutely, let's criticize the bike industry for taking part in capitalist exploitation in which workers do not get the profits they create for a company. They get a small piece of it, and the companies take most of the profits they bring in. We should have one worker, one vote. By the way, how much better is this that you see emergency vehicles here on the street? For emergency vehicles to be on streets with cyclists than to be on streets with cars. That fire engine doesn't even have to run its sirens that loud, because we can freaking hear it. With vehicles, they're sound insulated, so their sirens are so much louder. This is healthy, this is happy, it saves us money. Don't cough up money for the car industry if you don't have to. But let's also advocate for streets where you don't have to, because so many people do have to get a car to go to work. Look at this. Pedestrians can cross safely. No big deal. We're sharing the road. It belongs to everybody. But how many people have to get a car to go to work, have to go to work to pay for their car? If they lose their car, they'll lose their job. If they lose their job, they'll lose their car. People need to get 2 or 3 jobs. Housing's too expensive. We build stuff too far apart because we expect people to drive from their home out in the suburbs into the city, the job centers, instead of building our job centers and our housing all in the same places. So we have vibrant neighborhoods where you don't have to travel far to go to the grocery store, to entertainment, to the doctor, and where you can have spaces where people dismount, where people can just exist like this without spending money. And then think which neighborhoods have been screwed over the most. It's not at random. It's mostly poor black and brown neighborhoods where people's homes were leveled to build freeways, to build these huge streets that still have these freeways and huge streets next to their homes, where people have to breathe in poisonous fumes and deal with the congestion and the noise of cars driving by. And what do you have? Higher rates of cardiovascular disease, of childhood asthma. It's horrific. It's barbaric. And why? Because the car industry wants to keep making money, and they've been very successfully lobbying and to maintain a white supremacist corporate oligarchy in which a very few people make a ton of money and convince us we can't afford for everyone else to live more equitably. For some reason, there's no amount of money that's too much for some people to make. We can afford that, but we can't afford a higher minimum wage. We can't afford tenant protections, worker protections. How about just housing for everybody? House everyone. Because what happens when you don't have free stuff like this, when you have to pay for everything, everything is a transaction? Well, that's by design, so that they're always unemployed. They're always homeless. There's always someone desperate to replace you at your job. And so an employer is intoxicated by that power over you. They can sexually exploit you. Co-workers too. I'm not just saying the workers are all great. Workers too can do that to their workers. I have some experience with that, being sexually harassed and having to be silent for so long, and then reporting it and going through what I knew to be this farcical, cruel, barbaric system in which you fake report, they fake investigate, they determine, okay, you're a big legal liability for the company, we need to fire you without making it look like we're firing you for reporting this. And most workers will be scared shitless of ever reporting. We don't have strong social safety nets, etc. The older I get, the more I see, the more I become convinced we need radical socialist action. We need housing for all. This is a barbaric system that's ultimately propped up by the police. And really, if you want to get international about it, by the government, like the federal government and the CIA, who does the bidding of corporations to assassinate and coup other leaders, like leftist leaders, communist leaders, people who create more equity in their countries, because that puts at risk the resources and the industries that America or Americans run, that exploit these countries for their resources and extract their wealth to bring it to America. That's it. You can look up coup after coup and assassination after assassination of foreign leaders, and done in the name of jackasses like Henry Kissinger and Richard Nixon, but others. Still, the stuff still happens. The cruelty we've inflicted on Cuba, on Venezuela, etc., etc., etc. Hey, that doesn't look like Michael Fassbender. And anyways, so bikes are a great option. Yes, by all means, let's have like less corporatized bike production. Let's not have a capitalist mode of production where the owners extract the profits from the labor of workers. Let's make it so workers, like one worker gets one vote, so they share in profits, so that everyone has a guaranteed minimum standard of living. And think about what happens when you do that. That means that employers have to struggle a lot more in terms of putting in the effort of providing good working conditions, paying good wages, listening to employees, because they know, oh, this is awesome. Drag, it's so beautiful. I want to cry. Drag book reading and stuff. I saw that person doing drag book reading at the Culver Pride. Yeah, just so great how inclusive. So awesome. This is stuff I never would have thought about when I was a kid. I thought I'll get a car. For a long time I thought I'll never take public transportation. I never assumed I'd ride a bike. I was lucky. I lost 2 cars in hit and runs, and I ended up taking the bus, biking, and anyways, it's awesome. But we could do so much just with the experience. So people, take to the streets, ride a bike, be that person that shows, like, it's like casting a little vote, like just one little ballot, but your vote is not a ballot, it's your witness, giving witness to the fact that there is one more person who takes a bike. There's one more person today that rides the metro, the bus, that shows the metro system in the city, oh, we need more funding for this stuff. We need buses running every 5 to 10 minutes, metro trains running every 2 to 3 minutes, crisscrossing all over the city. And if you want to drive, then that's great. Like, I'm not even being sarcastic. That's great, because you can safely drive on streets that are not congested, and you can get around where you need to without dealing with people who shouldn't be driving. How awesome is that? So I'm gonna get back to my bike ride here. This is absolutely beautiful. Look at it, got the merchants out. How could you ever have this guy just hanging out in the back of a pedicab here? You couldn't do this normally. People eating on the side of the road or the sidewalk without the noise of cars rocking the street. Oh, I saw this person just sitting on the street here. This is so cool. And what's up?
It's a beautiful day to be outside.
That's right.
To watch everyone move around.
The person saying to watch everyone move around, and it's a beautiful day outside. How awesome is that? What beauty. But you're giving witness whenever you show up on the street, on the bus, on the train. And also, it's just so cool to get around and be like somebody in a metropolitan place where you can join other people in getting around in your city. But also advocate. If you're a driver, you should absolutely write emails to your city council leaders, to city and county leaders, to state leaders, and federal leaders, saying, let's get more public transportation, because that means people like me, your constituents, will be happy drivers, because we don't have to deal with people who are driving who shouldn't be. We don't have to deal with deaths from traffic accidents because we can prevent them all. And also we can have better finances. We can have people who are able to afford more free time because they don't have to spend so much money on cars. We don't have to subsidize cars so much because so much of our taxes do. Anyways, I could go on, I'm going to rant, but this is beautiful. Remember, this is a positive thing. This is a joyous thing. Organized group bike rides. We have here Critical Mass in LA, where it's not an official thing. It's just people take over the streets and bike. I still have yet to join one. Man, I'm so tired at night by the time they start. But this is so awesome. So this is just my sort of message of hope and happiness, right? Look at that person blowing bubbles, a bubble machine out the back of their back. And we could have bus stops like this that are really nice. So look at this. We're at the red light. People are laughing and smiling. We don't need to be in competition with each other like with these cars. It's not to say the drivers are evil. It's we have a bad system where we over-design cities for cars and we don't prioritize joyful, healthy modes of transit where we can exercise, we can be out, we can see friendly faces, we can know we're not in competition with each other, we're in communion with each other. Look at that, all those bubbles. So we got to hit the light right here. This is a beautiful cooperation. So much of the city has to cooperate, that so much of the city puts their time and effort in to create these open streets events, but they should be so much more often. We should just have places where we can do this all the time. It should be safe to bike. We should have affordable, healthy, happy neighborhoods. That is a terrible thing for the capitalists because that means they cannot reap nearly as much profit off you. And that should tell you how valuable it is to oppose that, to oppose this brutal capitalist system that leaves people homeless and without resources they need. Something I know myself. I was homeless for 2.5 years. So, take a bike ride, everyone. Smash capitalism. Talk to people. Organize group bike rides. Go out for a walk and see what your neighborhood is like to walk through. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye.